Welcome back to Yahtzee Tries, and I was coming off a bit of the old flu when I did the first stream for this week's roundup, and obviously that's why I thought it would be a brilliant idea to play a high-octane boomer shooter and a lateral thinking puzzle game, while my brain was all nice and congested. Well, that sure was a voiceover.
I couldn't hear it.
I just love reminding myself that I don't have any ammo. Is it me, or does the bottom of those flame jets look like a row of little dancing men?
I'm just thinking that. They're doing an Irish jig, dude.
Try to attack them when their shields are lowered. No problem, tutorial man. Viscerafest was the boomer shooter, one that recently came off early access, whose title should pretty much tell you everything you need to know. You play a bounty hunter going after the king of the space pirates in order to pay for your dream wedding, and must battle their way through level after level of an unashamedly retro-themed, sprite-based FPS movement shooter. I know it's a movement shooter because enemies kill you very quickly if you ever stand still for more than a nanosecond. I was beginning to think this might be one of those movement shooters we hear about. Man, this lady's compensating for something.
I think you can stop and aim your gun if you want.
No, if I stop moving, I lose the movement shooter. Legalize all drugs, but tax them. It's money you're leaving on the table, you idiots. The game very strongly encourages you to constantly bunny hop by making it very easy to do and halving all damage you take while doing it. And you know what? In this age, when it seems like new games are falling over themselves to come up with new accessibility options, it's almost refreshing to play something that seems to be going out of its way to be the exact opposite of accessible. I just noticed I can see my legs, and they look awful.
More tits than legs.
Give me lore. Where's all the lore?
Tell me about the tits.
I haven't got any tits. The lack of subtitles for the Duke Nukem-esque one-liners is the least of it. As well as being uncompromisingly hard, the constant bunny hopping will torment those prone to motion sickness, and the fondness for lurid neon colours to signify almost everything of importance probably won't please anyone with colour blindness or eyeballs. Does nothing.
What?
Oh, I got an achievement.
What does that do?
I don't know, I got a Chivo for pressing the does nothing button. One-liners, frequent, Bubsy, or never.
I'm glad we came into the menus. The menus are more entertaining than the game at the moment.
Oh, this game's a bit sassy. So even speaking as a child of the 90s who is ostensibly the target audience for retro-style boomer shooters, this one failed to find a vein. It's true what they say, you can never go home again. He had a gun. That's cheating. The guns are for me.
Banter.
Hey, things that need to die. Die. I'm also extremely bewildered by the amount of lore in this game. I hunt around the hub area and I find a repository of character profiles, including one for our generic violence-liking 90s style protagonist that goes on for page after page of earnestly written backstory that my eyes swiftly glazed over as I tried to read. Man, I wish I was invested in this story. Who is this character and why should I give this much of a shit? Why should any of this matter? The United Scientific Conglomerate, a confederation of... Narcolepsy attacks again. Even more lore!
Double showroom.
They can't stop this fucking game. You don't have to read any of it, of course. That's partly what's so bewildering about it. The whole game's got a Douglas Adams-y facetious vibe, so maybe it's all a satirical joke with no punchline, but it must have taken a lot of misplaced effort. I can only guess the early access process went on so long, the story writer got phenomenally bored. Our next game was Lab Rat, a puzzle game taking a very large and obvious cue from Portal, which would have hardly made it stand out if this were 10 years ago, when every puzzle game and their dog that came out on Steam was trying to be the next Portal, but now enough time has passed, it came back around making me nostalgic.
Should have read the lore. Too fucking right. Oh.
Oh wait, aha, ha ha ha. So if I... You're a hapless, silent every person, obviously, trapped in some kind of bleak, high-tech testing facility, obviously, and obviously you're directed through a series of puzzles by a placid, voiced female computer with a tentative grasp of human emotion and possibly sinister motives. Just call me Yahtzee thinking. Lateral thinking.
Oh my god.
Yahtzee thinking. No, do not record my reaction. I am antisocial.
Fucking love puzzle games.
There the comparisons end, though, as we lean more into a rather overt satire of video game focus testing, where we keep getting asked silly survey questions between every puzzle, ostensibly to gauge our reactions.
Other. Pornhub.
Other.
Oh, he's fucking done him. Oh, fuck. Get off it, you fuckers.
They can't touch it now, because it's electrified.
Oh, you little fucking rat bag.
And the humour works for me. I think it pulls off that classic Portal deadpan style quite well. I also like how the little comedy surveys act as in between cooling off periods between puzzles, rewarding us for our cleverness and not exhausting our poor befuddled flu-stricken brains all in one go. Oh, look at me!
As fuck.
Yahtzee thinking returns. As for the puzzling itself, it's nothing that'll blow the butter off your pikelets. A bit of top-down, tile-based box sliding and laser blocking shouldn't prove too much of a brain melter as long as you keep in mind all the rules that are in play and try not to overthink things.
We already fucking knew that, you pleb. You have to electrify yourself to be able to grab it, I believe.
No, you're wrong. I just need to push it with the other box.
We've started underthinking this. Fuck. Huh. Fucking love puzzle games, man.
But that acts as a handy reminder that if you don't have truly original gameplay or some mind-blowing new physics mechanic, then decent presentation can still take you a long way. Unpretentious, that's the word I was grasping for. Do a few puzzles and have a few laughs, but don't expect it to get acknowledged by the fucking Criterion collection.
Hey Ludo, good puppy. Good. What do you say back? What do you say back? Whoa.
Our next game was Post-Trauma, a survival horror game with the overt stated intention to evoke the PS2 era of survival horrors. And doesn't it just? With its fixed camera, claustrophobic environments, endless door-opening puzzles, and clueless protagonist with shitty combat skills and a floppy haircut. Oh man, every door I touch is stuck. This is PS2 survival horroring. Yeah, a door opened, and now I'm in another train carriage.
Oh my gosh, who put all these trains in a row?
How did I get here? Why won't these doors open? I'm locked in. I should open up to my therapist more. The moment I walked around the very first room and discovered that pressing U's on every door yielded the message that the lock was broken and would never open, I knew I'd come home. The rumblings making my controller move along my thigh. It's a faintly erotic sensation.
Thanks, Attorney.
I got an achievement called Clever. Because that's exactly what I am. Voiced by Togo Igawa. Like, just him. The problem is, the great survival horror games of old tended to have plots. Some very good ones, some fairly simplistic ones, like Dude Looking for Missing Daughter, but almost none of them had no apparent plot at all, which may be unfair. But I have to stay on the screen to go through the tape.
Oh, dang. Well, you gotta stay.
Alright, I don't care about plot, I've decided. Whee! Oh. We're a dude who wakes up in a scary environment and we stumble cluelessly through it, occasionally wondering aloud what's going on. Maybe there are some huge revelations queued up and ready to deploy at some point, but you need to be giving me something early on. A search for a missing person, a protagonist with some kind of charisma or established history, some kind of trail of crumbs to keep me invested in what's going on. You can't expect me to stumble on in the blind hope of eventually opening a door and finding a room stacked floor to ceiling with bread. I like the way he sticks his bum out.
He's caked up, dude.
Yeah.
He has to stick his bum out.
Reminds me of my wedding party. Aha! I win. I'm the smartest. What I played through in the hour felt more like a random highlight reel of ideas and themes from classic survival horrors, the subway station from Silent Hill 4, intermingled with the mannequins from Condemned, and a visit to the police station like the one from RE2.
Plutonium.
PlayStation era survival horror because we're on a Dutch angle.
Oh, yeah, you got to.
That's how you know. See, kids, this is what we had to do before browser tabs. Oh, that's a shame. That mannequin was... Ah!
Oh, shoot.
I solved a few puzzles and fought a few messed up monsters that didn't seem to have any thematic connection to anything, and came away feeling distinctly ungripped. Oh, it's very convincingly a survival horror game. 10 out of 10 for authenticity. The atmosphere's spot on. The use of lighting and camera angles to create an oppressive, nightmarish tone was quite impressive. But what I'm seeing here is only impressive in the way of a graduate project that shows 100% understanding of basic theory, but almost no individual creative spark. Any old moron can make an abandoned subway station creepy, you know. Subway stations are are already a place I want to spend as little time in as possible. I mean, I live in the Bay Area. Our last game, I'm also going to have to file under games that left me with a feeling of, yup, that sure was a game. Bionic Bay, a 2D platformer in which we play a little tiny man trapped in the workings of a giant incomprehensible machine after some kind of situation with a lab accident. I am the tiniest man. Is it true that the Bionic Man and the Bionic Woman got married within the canon of those two shows?
Whoa, I have no idea.
When are you ever going to meet someone with that kind of physical capacity again? Again, not much story and evidence, but that's more appropriate here. The intention seems to be to create more of a vibe, a horror of the sublime that sets in as you inch your way around the vast, impressive workings of the machine.
Called Bionic Ever After, question mark.
Well, that's
Where
a
they
name.
get married?
If I was them, I'd be like, there are other things to my personality.
I also like comedy movies.
Yes, I do a bit of home baking. Gameplay-wise, the first comparison for me is Limbo, and everything else in what's loosely termed the cinematic platformer genre, where you just keep moving right until there's nowhere left to move right to anymore.
Okay, Mindless Fool says the $6 Million Man was sometimes referred to as the Bionic Man in the show, so I believe you are correct.
Ow!
Thick.
Oh,
And
God.
goopy.
I'm covered in it.
Melissa McCarthy, yeah!
But then the game starts introducing more and more complex platforming mechanics like the wall jump, roll, and mid-air dive, and some Super Meat Boy influence creeps in. And then there's this bespoke puzzling mechanic in the form of the ability to swap places with the last physics object you touched, which is more the realm of games like The Swapper. The sheer number of different games that arise for comparison is part of the problem with Bionic Bay, because it suggests a game that badly needs to pick a lane.
Oh wow, I didn't know Puff was such a bisexual icon. Dang, you went to real school.
I know. A British school where education isn't
gosh.
constantly defunded.
Yeah.
And look
you
at
did
me
the-
now. If you're after a cinematic platformer, then you'll be disappointed by the repetition and lack of interesting set pieces. On the other hand, the skill-based platforming doesn't have the depth or complexity to make the most of either, and the puzzles don't quite go far enough to scratch anyone itching for a brain stimulation.
Yeah. And fun fact, that comment, Oscar Wilde. Where are you?
Stop asking that.
I need to know.
The end result is nothing that can be enthusiastically recommended to any sector of its potential audience, except for people who really like big things and mediocrity. In which case, have you ever considered reading a Michael Crichton book?
Blasphemy. That's wonderful.
Well, I'm part of a community of people watching this stream who
Oh
are
my
all
God.
very generous and have all joined the Patreon under the name William Gibbs.
Every single one of you. I, for one, have taken out a second loan so I can afford Phoenix tier patrons and can hang out for movie night, which happened last night. Everybody joined the Patreon and used the name Yachts Are All Thinking.
Bum Willy Marijuana Smack.
It's really crazy how many devs, whenever I meet people at GDC and they show their game or they talk about what they're working on, one of my first questions is always like, what engine are you working on? And the amount of times I knew they were about to say Unity, because they would, before they said it, it would come with like a sigh. They didn't want to say it.
They'd say, don't judge me.
And then they'd always come with a sigh, Unity, and then say, we've been in development for 4 years.
Yeah, that's usually how it works. I don't think achieved is the word I would have used, Sonic Team.